let's just get this over with. So what's up, viewers? It's Timmy 2009, and if you saw by the video, yes, it's that time. The long-anticipated, long-awaited, dreaded Misty Island rescue review. I promised I would do this after I did my Fireman Sam review a few months ago. And here we are, viewers. We're taking a look at one of the most notorious Thomas movies in the entirety of existence. And that is, of course, Misty Island Rescue. After Hero of the Rails came out, of course they have to make a bad movie. So yeah, I'm sure you can all tell by now that this is one of the worst Thomas and Friends movies ever. And how, you may ask? Oh, there is a lot of reasons why everyone despises this steaming pile of garbage. So, Thomas the Tank Engine. They managed to be good in the first 5 seasons, and even season 6 through 7. And of course, they started making a few new movies as well. And we all know Thomas's track record of making movies. Sometimes they can make really great movies, and sometimes they'll make atrocious piles of garbage. And of course, this is Thomas's very first movie, Magic Railroad. So, for those of you who don't know, Thomas and the Magic Railroad was actually Thomas's very first flop in quality. And I'm sad to say that this movie failed in the box office and got 21% Rotten Tomatoes. How this happened, you may ask? Well, it's quite simple. The test audience. Yeah, originally this movie was going to have another antagonist besides Diesel 10. And James and Percy were supposed to be voiced by Michael Angelis. And George was supposed to be Diesel 10's henchman. But what happened? Well, the test audience didn't approve, so now we have a confusing plot. We now have Diesel 10 as the main character and protagonist. Which, by the way, I'm going to say that Diesel 10 is the best Thomas villain you can ever get. I know you all wanted P.T. Boomer in the movie, but Diesel 10 is better. If you like P.T. Boomer, I respect your opinion, but... So, yeah. If it wasn't for the test audience, maybe this movie would have been successful. And it's really sad, because this is my favorite Thomas movie of all time, even if everyone hates it. Which I'm sure many people do. As I said, it got 21% Rotten Tomatoes at the box office. But we're not talking about Magic Railroad. We're talking about this. Now, what is Thomas's track record with making movies? Well, as I said, their first movie was sort of a failure. And it's not like this movie was any better. Calling All Engines was pretty bad, because of the whole Steamy versus Diesel conflict being butchered to death. Okay, so then, of course, we got The Great Discovery, and it's genuinely a shock that this movie is actually a good movie. It's not one of my favorite movies per se, but it's still decent. But decent is a miracle. And then came along Hero of the Rails, the best thing to ever come out of the Sharon Miller era and to kick off CGI Thomas. So, unfortunately, after they made a good movie, of course, they had to make another bad movie. As if you thought that Calling All Engines wasn't bad enough. This movie blows in every single way. Yeah. Despite, like, maybe you would think that, oh, well, the seasons are pretty terrible after season 7 ended, but maybe the movies are going to be great. Well, unfortunately, we were wrong in every way. So yeah, Misty Island Rescue is pretty bad, and there's a ton of reasons why. The plot is as jumbled up as in Magic Railroad. At least it's not as confusing as that, but it's still pretty bad. Even in execution, like, you think that this movie would have a good plot on paper, but when you add annoying characters and stuff that makes no sense and a bunch of stupid moves, then it becomes atrocious and bad. So join me as I rip this movie to shreds and probably rage my head off and tell you why I hate this movie so much and why it's the worst in the fandom. First, I'm going to start off with the plot. So, what is the plot here, you may be asking? Well, that's a very good question. And the answer is, they're building a new solar search and rescue center as if they're Jack in the Pack. So yeah, they're building a solar search and rescue center. They have this new boat named Captain, which is a pretty cool character, but he doesn't get that much attention. Okay, so then they have to get some Joby wood to build it, but the problem is there's no Joby wood except for when there's literally a boat that has a ton of Joby wood, and unfortunately there are 3 logs, and then... Okay, so the main theme of this movie is that Thomas gets lost in a place called Misty Island, and he meets the logging Locos, which we'll get to later. We're going to talk about these disgusting characters in a moment. Alright, so Thomas gets lost, and of course he does. It's too predictable. We've seen characters get lost in small towns before, so this is nothing new. Thomas just gets lost at Misty Island, and he has to find his way back. Like, how many movies are there where a character gets lost and they have to find their way back? There's a ton, so it's no surprise whatsoever. I mean, sure, building Solar Search and Rescue Center is fun, but trying to find Thomas after getting lost is just too, like, it's sort of a cliche in my opinion. On paper, it may sound cool, but the execution was awful, and I'll tell you why. There's only like a few good things about this movie. Like, the first 5 minutes are good, but everything goes downhill after that. The song at the opening is sort of like similar to Pirates of the Caribbean, which is sort of nice, even though I'm not a huge fan of that movie. But yeah, and then we get a glimpse of Harold flying in the air and the Solar Search and Rescue Center being announced, but then everything goes wrong. And let's talk about our first main issue with this movie. Diesel. Devious Diesel is in this movie. Now, Diesel isn't that bad of a character. He's sort of good. So what's the problem here? Well, Diesel actually wants to do something good. Like, he wants to prove to everyone that he can be useful and he wants to help in any way he can. But, of course, Thomas just turns him down. Like, he has some sort of, like, prejudice thing towards Diesels, which he never had to begin with. Can you, like, see what the problem is here? Like, there's a few good Diesels named Mavis, Daisy, Rusty, and Salty, and Boko. I mean, sure, Diesel does some bad things, like framing Duck for something he didn't do, and just wreaking havoc at the docks, and trying to prove that he could be the world's strongest engine. But he does have a soft spot for the first time in Misty Island Rescue. But, unfortunately, Thomas says that he can never be useful because he's a stinky Diesel. No, that's not true. Diesels can be useful as well. Have you seen Boko, Mavis, Daisy, Rusty, Salty? I mean, sure, Mavis can be a bit rude, but even Daisy. But I'm sure Mavis has a heart of gold, as we saw. Do you remember her character arc in Mavis and Toby's Tightrope? Yeah. Whatever happened to that? Why are you saying that Diesel can't be useful, Thomas? I don't get you. This is why, you are bad in this era. And then we see this kind of stick later in James to the Rescue. And then, after Diesel loses the logs, Thomas saves him, because of course he does. And then Diesel is cut out of the movie entirely after that. And one of the problems I have is that they don't acknowledge any other characters. Like, they don't give Captain that much character, and he's sort of a blank slate, and he adds nothing to the plot. Because of course he doesn't. Okay, I'm glad they brought back Whiff, because Whiff is actually one of my favorite hit era characters. Same thing with Rocky in Hero of the Rails. But anyways, now our next issue is the stupid decision Thomas makes for the plot to happen. So, of course, they go to the docks, and then Cranky unloads everyone to go to the mainland, and for some stupid, dumb reason, there's a raft, a rusty chain raft, that's so conveniently placed near the boat that's going to the mainland, and Thomas makes the stupidest decision to travel there by raft when he could just go on the boat. But then they say there's no room for him. We can clearly see that the boat has a top with an empty space. So why doesn't Tom just go there? But no, we can't have that happen because we need the plot to go. And then, okay, so why are we taking a boat to the mainland? Later in the show, they add this new bridge called the Vickerstown Rolling Bridge, so streamlined engines and new engines can go to the mainland and Sodor. So why couldn't they just like acknowledge Vickerstown Bridge's existence? Like, I know it didn't exist before, but still, it would have been the golden opportunity. And a chain breaks, because of course it does, because we gotta have the plot going. And then Thomas so happens to be perfectly aligned on the rails. And then we get to Misty Island. The worst place for an engine to be. Misty Island is just boring and lifeless. And dangerous as well. And then, oh no. We're introduced to the logging Locos. The most hated characters in the entire series. Okay, when I was a kid, I thought Billy was the worst Thomas and Friends character, but these guys really take the cake. These guys are so annoying and obnoxious. So, we have Bash, Dash, and Ferdinand, the worst characters of all. They all suck, they're all stupid, and I hate them. I don't know what type of stuff these people were on when they created these characters. Like, Misty Island has no humans, no people. It's just these three bozos who live on their own. With these dangerous things called Oh Wheezy and Hee Haw, which I don't know why they're in service. And this bridge called the Shake Shake Bridge, which shouldn't even be a bridge in the first place. Like, why does Shake Shake Bridge exist? Just so the logging locos can rhyme all the time and Ferdinand can say, "Oh, that's right." No, that line is cringe in my opinion. The whole rhyming stick has been beaten to death in this whole era, and it's so cringe-worthy. I can't watch this without my head exploding or just my ears being deaf because of how awful and bland this rhyming is. It makes Hit Era more... I mean, the Hit Era was boring, but this just is more annoying and atrocious. So then, we're introduced to logging locos and we're stuck with them. Well, that's not true. They just keep cutting back to Misty Island, Island of Sodor. Misty Island, Island of Sodor. Just pick one already. They can't all be important. Just pick one. Like, focus either on Misty Island or the Island of Sodor. See, this is the same problem that Thomas and the Magic Railroad has. They focus on the Island of Sodor and Shiny Time and keep cutting back over and over and over again. And Thomas doesn't get that much screen time. So, yeah, these logging locos are terrible in every way. They're annoying, their rhyming is awful, especially Bash and Dash finish their sentences for going, "That's right, that's right." That's wrong. That's so freaking wrong. Are you trying to, like, make people hate you? Oh, wait, we already hate you because you're pointless and useless. I mean, you are just as bad as Billy. I mean, at least you're not telling Thomas, "Oh, stop telling me what to do. You're a bossy engine." You're just being annoying idiots who can't really, like, make funny jokes like Charlie. At least Charlie can have more, better moments than you guys can. And then, of course, the Shake Shake Bridge is a thing. And honestly, whenever I see logging locos cross the Shake Shake Bridge and rhyming, it makes me wish that it makes me, like, say that I wish they would, like, fall off the Shake Shake Bridge and die. Like, why doesn't the Shake Shake Bridge just collapse? Like, couldn't the bridge be more stable? And another thing, why do Old Wheezy and Hee Haw exist? All Old Wheezy does is throw logs everywhere, which is dangerous. And you're asking for someone to get a malconcussion. And you're just wasting all your fuel on Hee Haw when you need fuel to puff! Seriously, like, they say that we don't have enough oil to puff the Sodor. So, don't go then. Why are you going to the Island of Sodor with Thomas? Dash isn't even pulling a freight car. Only Bash and Ferdinand and Thomas are pulling one log car each. I mean, can't you all just, like, work together and pull your weight? So, okay, there are so many problems with this movie that I can't express how bad it is. And then, of course, we gotta have Sir Topham Hatt trying to find Thomas, but he fails every time, and he calls everyone to, like, find Thomas, and then we're introduced to Whiff, and he doesn't really do much. He just says, "You can't build your office here, sir." Okay, so apparently he wants to build his office there. Great movie so far, right? Wrong. This movie sucks. Alright. And then now we get to some of the more bad stuff, and the climax is just really frustrating to think about in execution. So the climax is that, of course, Thomas puffs his steam through Misty Island, and Percy sees the island that just so happens to be beyond the horizon at Brendam Docks. Have you literally not seen that island before? And then Sir Topham Hatt makes the stupidest decision ever. Literally, this moment in the film broke me. I became so mad at this point that I could not contain myself. Sir Topham Hatt sends 3 of his engines to Misty Island on a goddamn boat. Why? Why? And then Whiff and Percy just happen to, like, dig up the tunnel and find their way to Thomas. So what is the point of having engines going to Misty Island when you have engines going through the tunnel that so happens to be connected to the Island of Sword, which is stupid and pointless and shouldn't even be a thing at all. Misty Island should not exist. This whole movie should not exist. But of course, Sharon Miller has no brain cells whatsoever and just dumped this out of her butt. Because, of course, she can't come up with stuff original. After she came up with Hero of the Rails, which is the best movie ever in the entire Sharon Miller era. And then, of course, Thomas is rescued, and the Misty Island logging Locos are here, and then we get to hear more atrocious rhyming from not only Thomas, but Kevin as well. Kevin, you're better than this. You don't have to rhyme. The whole rhyme infection has gotten to you. This isn't Dr. Seuss. You're just ripping off Dr. Seuss and not coming up with stuff original. You're just ripping ideas from the same episodes and you're doing plot recycling and you're making your characters more unlikable and unfunny. And you're just trying to brainwash kids into whine and cry and complain and cause accidents to get grounded. No, this is not okay at all. This is not okay at all. We don't deserve this. So then Thomas is found and everyone is happy. And then, I'm sorry, not even Diesel 10 fixes this movie. Diesel 10 is just window dressing to get you excited for Day of the Diesels. Which, by the way, is another terrible movie. Thank God I didn't see Day of the Diesels or Blue Mountain Mystery, because I genuinely hate Day of the Diesels. And Blue Mountain Mystery is just average. I know it's a fan favorite movie, but still. So what else is there to say? Oh, none. Because this movie is so bad and so confusing and so annoying as all heck. God, I can't stand Misty Island Rescue so much. It really blows. Alright, so that's my video of Misty Island Rescue. And of course, this was an absolute waste of your time. And oh my god. This movie really doesn't deserve to exist, and it was just a desperate excuse to keep Thomas' friends going. Okay, so I think I've rambled long enough about Misty Island Rescue. It was pretty quick to get through, because there's really not much to say. The plot is just jumbled up with many contrivances and lame excuses to keep it going. It just shoveled out some of the most pointless characters in the world, like the logging Locos. And thank God they were removed from the era after Andrew Brenner came along. He just, like, wiped them out of existence with his Thanos Infinity Gauntlet and boarded up Misty Island tunnel so no one could go to Misty Island. Personally, if it were me, I would just... okay, let me... something. If I was Thomas, I would just, like, have someone, like, nuke Misty Island and blow it up and kill the logging Locos with it. I would just sell the logging Locos for scrap anyways and just destroy Old Wheezy and Hee Haw. Okay. I mean, couldn't you have made the logging Locos more likable? Like, couldn't you have made Bash and Dash like Bill and Ben? And couldn't you have made Ferdinand like the equivalent of Edward and just keep Bash and Dash in order? I feel like we could have gotten that. But no. No. We have to make them annoying just to appeal to the kids. Because, haha, funny engines go brr, right? No. If you want an annoying character to be funny, you have to do it right. If you want an annoying character to be funny, you have to do it right. If the annoying character annoys the audience, you're doing something wrong. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. You made Billy, who is the most annoying and atrocious model series character ever. You made, like... Okay, you made Molly and you made Neville, who are just pointless characters who had nothing to the story. You made Dennis, who is lazy. And you also made Hector, who is just nothing but a mean truck, who deserves to be pushed by Thomas. He deserves no remorse for his actions. I don't like Hector. You may disagree with me, but I just don't like any of the Hera characters. If you do, I respect your opinion, but still. You're okay to like them, and you're okay to disagree with me, but we all have our opinions. And then, of course, like, these characters come along and they're so bad, and thank God they're not in the show anymore. At least the people listen to us, but not Mattel, because they made Big World, Big Adventures, which killed the entire series. There's really no hope in salvation for Thomas other than the Thomas fan base. And, okay, I think my last thing I have to say, this is not as bad as Big World, Big Adventures. It's annoying, sure, but at least it doesn't add diversity and women and inclusion to their series. Like, what is the point of having more female characters and having Thomas travel around the world when the Flying Scotsman was the first character? So yeah, that was Misty Island Rescue, and it's so bad. I think that's all I have to say here, so... If you agree with my opinions on Misty Island Rescue, please tell me in the comments below. Do you hate Misty Island Rescue? And what's worse, Big World, Big Adventures, or Misty Island Rescue? Speak your mind. Tell me in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go, and I'm going to pour my eyes out with bleach. So goodbye, and I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, and I'll see you next time. Bye.